On day 15, I addressed a feedback I received on my second week devlog. In fact, I removed the cancel button from the inventory action menu. Following the same feedback, I also changed the animation while not aiming to use 2 hands instead of 1. Next, I added an animation to the pistol that plays if you try to shoot while you have no bullets. This animation will also play without sound after you shoot the last bullet in the magazine. To finish the day, I implemented the recoil animations for both aim down sight and hip fire. Day 16 started addressing an issue related to clipping through walls when the player gets close to them. First, I fixed the player clipping. Next, to prevent the gun clipping, I created an animation that moves the gun away when you are too close to the wall. This fix works also for any other object in the game. Then, during a break, I learned about another important optimization workflow. Considering that this workflow frees a massive amount of RAM and helps scalability, I spent the rest of the day reworking all of the systems to implement it. On day 17, I decided to implement a player ability to scan the area in order to highlight all interactable items. This will be very useful in dark environments. After that, I decided to replace the static recoil animation with a modular system. First, I implemented a vertical recoil that pulls the gun up based on a gun stat. If the same gun will have a different vertical recoil, it will change the animation force automatically. The fact that it can change will be used later on by attachments and player abilities. The same way, I introduced also the horizontal recoil that drags the weapon to the side. That randomly pulls to the left or to the right. If both horizontal and vertical recoil starts are higher, this will add some diagonal movement. Thanks to the fact that the animations are procedural, each weapon will feel completely different based on just recoil. Day 18 started by adding a strength player stat. For now, increasing it will only reduce the recoil force, but later on it will have more benefits. Next, to test the new procedural recoil system, I made a basic idle animation to hold the C7 rifle, plus the aim down sight as well. The last one has pixel-perfect precision using the iron sight to shoot. After that, I implemented another weapon stat, this time to control the fire rate. It actually will limit how fast you can shoot by mashing the fire button, and also will control the automatic fire as well. At this point, it was time to add also the fire mode types. Pistols, for example, will have mainly the semi-auto fire mode, while assault rifles the full auto. Also, I implemented the ability to change between fire modes that a specific weapon have, and also introduced a 3 bullets burst fire mode as well. On day 19, I decided to implement the durability system. This feature was requested in the feedback mentioned before. I made that each shot you fire decreases durability by 1 point, and when it reaches 0, the weapon is destroyed. To expand on this system, I also introduced a quality system. This one influences the durability loose for each shot. The lowest level is bad, followed by poor and fair. Then in the mid-tier we have average, good and excellent. While the hardest to find will be pristine, flawless and legendary. To finish the day, I used the already existing gun stats in order to move also the camera based on where the recoil is kicking. This will force the player to try to counter it by moving the mouse in the opposite direction while shooting. Or even better, will encourage to search for attachments to counter the recoil like grips and increase the strength stat. Day 20 started by adding some procedural sway when the character moves to the sides. Then I implemented a new weapon stat called ergonomics and a player stat called agility. Both will be used to mitigate the sway strength. This will give a reason to search for attachments that improve ergonomics and increase the agility stat. To build further the sway system, I also implemented another sway modifier, but this time that uses the mouse movement. This sway power is also decreased by increasing the weapon ergonomics and agility stat on the character. After that, it was time to add the breathing sway that would move the player hands procedurally. This allowed me to expand on this system, changing sway strength based on the movement speed. Then, to incentivize crouching while shooting, I added also a sway modifier that will massively reduce the sway strength while crouching, and if combined with being still, it almost stops it. I also added the ability to hold breath. This will completely stop the breathing sway, to prevent the abuse of the holding breath. On day 21, I introduced the breath player attribute. It decreases holding the breath and recovers when not. It also automatically stops holding breath when the attribute reaches 0. Plus, I used the new attribute to increase the sway power based on how much breath is used, resulting in a more powerful sway if out of breath. Then I made that player agility and also ergonomics of a weapon influences this sway type as well. To finish the day, I expanded the breath system in order to be used when running and sprinting as well. Also, I made that in case all the breath is used, running and sprinting is interrupted automatically.